Hi Pods, it's Jeanette again. I am going to talk to you today about my first blog ever. I wrote this blog called Don't Knock My Hustle. If you haven't read it, the link's down below. Get your life, okay? So I started this blog because I felt that I wanted to have like-minded people such as myself who are entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs. And I wanted to tell the truth about starting a business and hopefully inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. So if you're interested in having a business, you started one, then this is the place to be because we are going to go in and we're going to talk about everything. So my first blog, Don't Knock My Hustle, talks about what it feels like being a mom and an immigrant coming to a small city and facing all of the obstacles that comes along with that. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm originally from the Bahamas. So when I decided to move to Canada, to a very small city, I faced a lot of different obstacles. Some I wasn't prepared for. Others I didn't think would hinder me, but became a problem later on. So let's dive in. Now let's talk about first coming to Canada. Complete culture shock. Okay, I've traveled. I've been global. I know the world, but I was not expecting to have a culture shock. I thought, okay, I'm moving to Canada. It's gonna be cold. It might be so bland, but I wasn't expecting all of the different cultures that were here, the melting pot. I was super excited. And then I realized that a big city wasn't for me. I came from a small island. Well, the Bahamas is 700 islands, in case you didn't know. But I came here thinking that I was just going to thrive. I would get my life, my career going in accounting, and I would just be the boss of everything. And then I came to a small city. And I remember having a conversation with a professor called Pelham. And he said to me, Jeanette, your name is going to open the door for you. And your attitude and your capabilities is going to get you to stay. What does that mean? I'm from an island where Black people rule everything. Okay, we became independent in 1973. I've seen amazing women like Janet Bostwick and Dame Ivy Dumont and all of these people that were always in control. And they looked like me. So why wouldn't I be the best, the greatest, and everyone just love me and take me in and everything be successful? Like, hello. And I didn't understand it at that moment, but it became very clear later on. So I'll tell you a little story of before I started my business and coming to this city and why I chose this city. So I was living in this other city, and that was the first time I had someone come up to my face and scream in it using the N-word, telling me to turn my music down, and his spit landed on my face. Now, usually I'm a pretty straightforward person, but at that moment, I was completely shocked. I was alone on a bus, and had no one. Everyone stopped and stared. No one said a word. No one interjected. No one helped. The bus driver didn't stop and pull over and tell that guy, get out. These were the things that I was expecting. None of it happened. I was stunned and I sat there. And a part of me regrets that to this day, that I didn't stand up. I'm a boss. I'm a person that is usually in control of a situation. I can protect myself. And in that moment, I was silent. And that was my first real, I wouldn't say introduction to racism. I'm Black. I travel. I'm not crazy. But it was my first close interaction in Canada. This land that everybody says is not racist, is very welcoming, and is made for everyone. The multicultural, place to be. And in that moment, I realized that it's just like everywhere else. And I left that moment in disgust, ashamed of myself, and not knowing where I was going to stand. Was I going to stay in this country that had people that hated me? Or was I going to return home to a land that was made from people like me, that is made for people like me? Obviously, I stayed. I'm talking to you from Canada. So, but I want to talk to you about why I stayed. That same drive in me that I have to succeed was the same drive in me that was going to prove whoever this person was that they couldn't break me. And that their thoughts of me was not going to make me change my thoughts of myself. So, years later, a year or two-ish later, I moved to an even smaller city. I'd come and visited, and it was beautiful. And I walked into this office, and I said to these accountants, I know you're not hiring. My name is Jeanette. I'm pretty great. Here's my resume. If you're ever hiring, think about me. I would love to have an opportunity to be here. Surprise. One of the partners took my resume. He was the one that actually came in and I introduced myself to him. He sat me down right away and he said, well, that was impressive. I want to talk to you right now. Do you have a minute? He says, I'm not hiring right now, but I would love to get to know you a little bit more. We had a wonderful, wonderful interview / meeting. And I walked away pretty impressed, pretty happy. A year later, I get a call. Are you interested in this job? I go, oh. They said, if you're interested, we need you here in 2 weeks. I'm living in a different city. I packed up immediately, dropped everything. The next day, a wonderful friend helped me get a U-Haul. I packed up my stuff and I was out. I didn't have a plan on where I was going to live. I had no plan on anything. I just had a job. And it wasn't even a job. It was an internship for 6 months. What was I doing? That is crazy. Why would you leave everything for a 6-month internship? Well, that 6 months ended up being extended for another 6 months and then another 6 months after that. And that's how my accounting career in Canada began. Now, let's move on to starting a business. My hubby and I talked about starting a business for a little while. I'd come from an entrepreneur family, and I always wanted to have my own business. I just never imagined it would be inside Canada and be more than one. We'll get into that later. So, starting the business was insane. I decided that I wanted to start a wedding business / rental. I first started that business thinking that I was going to wow this city. It was small, it had a very tiny population, and many people who were used to a certain style. And I was going to bring something completely different, something insanely like Caribbean and probably upscale and things they've never seen before. And they're just going to be like, we need her. That's what I thought. That's not what happened. And I ended up changing what I had originally thought was going to be amazing to try to match what was there. Big mistake. Number one, if you have a vision and you have a goal, stick with it. Do not try to change yourself to fit in. Remember that. That's going to take you through business. Do not try to fit in. There's a million businesses like you. Why would they choose you over someone that's been here and established for centuries over you who is just starting out that looks the same or a little bit worse than them? So when I started my business, I thought no one would want to come to me who didn't like me. That didn't even dawn on me, that people would come to me just to tell me that I shouldn't be in this business. Why would you do that? Why would you come to someone and tell them that they don't deserve to have this business and they should close shop or move somewhere else? Well, I got that. And the reason I got that was because of the color of my skin. I was not a native to the city. I was a foreigner to the country, not just the city, the country. And on top of that, I was Black and a female. That took a lot of audacity, apparently. It didn't dawn on me. I thought if you didn't like me, you would just not come to me. You wouldn't make it a priority to come to me to tell me to not do this. I didn't need strangers telling me. I already had enough family members and friends that thought that this was crazy. And then I ended up having a baby. Was not expecting that. And I had a C-section. First child, horrible, horrible pregnancy, and a C-section, emergency C-section in the end. And guess who had a wedding 10 days after to decorate? So you can imagine that experience didn't end beautifully. It wasn't the happy, beautiful ending that I thought that I would get, being my first time as my own entrepreneur. And then we ended up having to sue to get a balance. And it was just terrifying. And postpartum, I'm healing from a C-section and I have to go to court to sue. I'd already had so many people tell me not to do this. I had clients come to me, or potential clients coming to me just to tell me, you don't fit in, you don't look like us, you're not going to make it, and now this. Not the best start. So why did I continue? Why did I push through all the negative things that happened? Those are lessons, big lessons, that taught me how to manage my business better and how to even take cash for my services. How I would take it, when I would take it, and all of the rules around all of that. And then we decided to have a second business. That's this what I'm talking about right now. Driver's seat, Sault Ste. Marie. My kid was 6 months old. Still postpartum. Just sued someone 6 months before. As my kid was 10 days old decorating. Why am I going to start a second business? That is insane. What were we thinking? I look back and go, how did we make it through? I was still breastfeeding, waking up in the middle of the night. Hubby was working a full-time job. Like, this is insane. I'm just still healing. And if anybody had a C-section, they know that's not easy. And decorating a wedding and lifting tables and chairs do not make it any better. And then we opened up driver's seat. That meant no drivers, just hubby and I and a 6-month-old baby strapped into a van, picking up strangers in their vehicle and driving them home. In the beginning, we had 1 or 2 calls, and those were random. Some at 2 a.m., some at 1. Why? If you want to learn more and you want to hear the rest of this story, then stay tuned, because I have so much more to go.